crowdfunding payment of ransom will worsen kidnapping, FG warns Nigerians.
I agree. But the question is, what's the alternative? Who would tell me who would sit down, hear your son or whatever has been kidnapped, and you won't be desperate to look for where to find the ransom? When you know within yourself that we don't have the capacity to find the kidnappers. We don't. You know, there's a difference as to what should be and what is. I keep saying that. There's a difference between these two things, what should be and what is. The truth of the matter is Nigeria, as currently structured, doesn't have the capacity to take down these kidnappers. So I'd rather take it as one paper reported it as if it was against the law. I'd rather take it as advisory. We know in the US, for example, they say the United States government doesn't pay any ransom. But that's in principle. In reality, they do. Yes, in reality, they do. When the backs are against the wall, they will. If you kidnap the secretary to the government of the United States, they won't pay. They will punish you later, but the first premium will be to get you out of that situation. So we don't have the capability. We don't. Law agents themselves, they don't seem to have that motivation anymore. Rather, you probably find a larger number of them involved in the periphery of the crime itself. They might not have joined those initiating, but when it comes to ransom, somebody has to carry the money somewhere. That's where they step in and make their money. So rather, what I think the government should do is to look for a robust manner for us to tackle this thing, and it's beyond crime fighting. It's beyond crime fighting. For as long as you have a privileged elite throwing money all around the politicians, oh, this one they pass the 3 billion to this one 500 and something like that in cash. You have all this is flying around, then this is going to go on the increase.
Right.
So the ball is in their court.
I kind of agree with you because before, the past administration, they came up with what they called NIN, and they forced everybody to go and do NIN, even in the midst of COVID.
Yes.
People suffered for that. And the government team leader at that time, Pantami, who championed the entire thing, came out in the media to say that they used it at the time to resolve some cases. He wasn't sure why, this is not being used anymore. And people were saying, Ogbeni, you were part of the government then. Why are you coming to the media to tell the media that you're not sure why it's not being used before? Shouldn't you, at least to a very large extent, have access to the government, even the incumbent government? It's still your party. But, tell them this if they're not aware of it.
Even if it's not your party, I mean, as a national and at that level, so you can do that. The truth is that there's been compromise across the board. The spirit that you need to have in these people you take up to fight crime is not there. Who will hear, for example, what happened to I'm sorry I keep mentioning it. Who will hear what happened to Old Soldier and Co., who fought in the Civil War? And as we speak, as at yesterday, they were here to see me again. It's as if the government is deaf. I don't know if anybody listens to radio. Nobody has contacted them. Nothing. So they've now saddled me with the responsibility of taking their letter to Abuja to go and deliver it. But anybody who hears this, the policemen are hearing, the people in the barracks are hearing what has happened to those who did this in the past. Do you understand? The motivation is not there. The spirit is not there. I remember, and I'd like to be corrected, there was something in the 60s of a police. In those days, the police detectives were something else. It was a woman. She wanted to capture one strong man, a strong criminal in those days.
Yeah.
She married him, had a child for him, and still caught him.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's cold.
You had determined. I want some old policeman to please come to my aid. Not a retired AIG. I want some papa who was an old policeman. They will tell you. In those days, people were devoted to their jobs, even in the military. What you have now is, because there are no jobs and whatever, you will go and join the military. From the military, from there, you see all kinds of nepotism and all kinds of things happening. Your spirit will be, let me just safeguard myself to spend my 10 years and go home. But I must go home with a lot of money. Because even those who fought during the Civil War, they have not gotten their allowances up till now. So you have that spirit. So there's a lot of sabotage along the line. People will now, I'm sure, will be joined. If you ask any policeman, anybody wants to join police now, after a few bottles at Mama Obi's beer parlor, he tells you, I beg, I want to make my own money, make her come out. That's the spirit you have. That's the spirit you have. If you, for as long as you have people who, rather than die for their country, want to make sure that their lives are extended and in good health and wealth, that's what you will get. So it's beyond all this. Sheriff, it's beyond all this. Much beyond all this.
Victor on YouTube says, my dad told me, I think the story you just shared, that is true. The CID then was working.
Yes. And then
that's Victor.
I had the name in my head, but because I'm not sure of that name, I have it in my head. She married the guy and had a child for him and led the team that arrested him. Wow.
That's so cold.
When you hear Yorubas call them, for example, Otelemuye. Oh yes. Oh, one way.